Welcome to For Fresno. My name is Gordon, and this is a podcast about what the church is for, not what the church is against. And you can check out all our podcasts at forfresno.com. Well, today we talk with Randy Mewhirter, the director of Relate for Life. He and his wife, Angie, have provided relationship training to more than 20,000 high school students in the Central Valley as part of Healthy Relationships California. Randy has also actively trained chaplains of all our branches of military on how to most effectively meet the unique needs of single soldiers, couples, and families through their StrongBonds program. They definitely have a heart for strong and life-lasting relationships. Let's jump into this conversation with Randy. Welcome to For Fresno. My name is Gordon, and today we got another great guest, Randy Mewhirter. He's the director of Relate for Life, and I'm super excited. Welcome to the show, Randy.
Hey, thank you, Gordon. Appreciate it.
Great. Well, you're going to tell us what Relate for Life is, and also, I think, not how to be a jerk and things like that. Is that right? So what does all that mean?
That's it. Well, Relate for Life is about relationship education, and probably in 2008, 2009, I was involved in relationship education to married couples, and we would do marriage seminars, marriage weekends, etc. And they asked me, my wife and I actually attended. And in attending, I was asked if I would be interested in joining them. And I just kind of wrote out an outline of kind of the guidelines that I think are important if I were to be involved in relationship education. And it wasn't so much to married couples. I just wanted to go upstream, if you will, and offer perspective of what a healthy relationship is to probably 13 years old and up. And we have done that for the past 11, 12 years. We worked with more than 20,000 high school students in Fresno County, a minimum of 8 hours, some 16 hours, just offering a perspective of how not to fall in love with a jerk.
Oh, that's pretty funny. I want to hear more about that. But you said you've reached 20,000 high school students. How do you go about doing that? Do you is it camps? Is it always going to the high school? How do you get connected with these different organizations?
Well, because of my years of working with Youth for Christ, the high school principals, the administration at the different high school campuses knew me and knew that I would maintain the integrity of what they're trying to accomplish while augmenting it with healthy relationship skills. And so I began to go to high school campuses, and my method was to work with an entire class in the school. So I would go in, I didn't think too deeply about this. I just worked with every freshman in the school. And I did that with schools across Fresno County. And in the matter of 4, 5, and 6 years, of course, I had had some sort of contact with virtually every student in the school.
Wow. And so what you just mentioned, how not to be a jerk, was kind of what is that your program? Is that what you teach? Do you go up and talk to them for 8 hours straight on how not to be a jerk, or how do you approach these seminars and workshops for these kids?
You know, I read a book by Dr. John Van Epp, and it's How to Avoid Falling for a Jerk or Jerkette.
Okay.
And in reading that book, I just thought this would be a great assembly opportunity for campuses. So I put together a 45-minute presentation, kind of overview of what that book covered. And everywhere that I went, the schools, I mean, you could literally see administration in the back of the gym high-fiving each other while I am sharing this information with the students. And every high school every high school that I worked with came up afterwards and said, "Can you come back and give us more?" And
Wow.
I could have done that, but I was at a loss because everything that I had presented was structured on Dr. Van Epp's book. So I
Hmm.
reached out to John Van Epp, and I tracked him down and called him on his cell phone. And he was living in Ohio at the time.
I'm
And
surprised you didn't just go there.
I didn't know where to go. But I called him and I told him, introduced myself to him and told him what I was doing. And he's like, "You're what? Can we meet?" And so I flew to Florida and met him. And it's one of those relationships that immediately is going to be a good relationship. I mean,
Wow.
we just connected.
Very cool.
And almost immediately after that, he laid out this curriculum that he had developed on how to avoid falling for a jerk or jerkette. And it was for young adults, for youth, for older adults, for people in the military. And he invited me to come with him and teach with him, serving the military chaplains of all branches. And
Wow.
so I did that and got to do that for 9 years. And our relationship just got closer and closer and closer. And so that was only 2 months out of the year. So the rest of the time, I was just connecting with high schools and going in for a week at a time, sometimes 2 weeks, but typically a week at a time. And so all day, every day, I would work
Wow.
with PE or health or government or anything you can imagine, any class that they would allow me. And I would present what healthy relationships look like. And I got lots and lots of questions of the
Mhm.
20,000 plus kids that I've worked with. I have text messages from more than 6,000 of those kids.
And so, what are they saying in these questions? Because this "how not to fall for a jerk" is this romantically, or is this just everyday relationships, or what's going on there?
Very, very good question. So the answer to that is yes, it's all of that.
Okay.
So usually what I've noticed is we all have heard the term jerk, or we've called somebody a jerk, right?
Right. Yeah. Like, oh, you dated a jerk, or oh my gosh, don't worry about them. They're a jerk.
Or don't be a jerk. Yeah,
Or
exactly
don't be a
right.
jerk. Yeah.
So we walk through and give them a perspective. And so I only use the word jerk initially when walking through this. Basically, I boil down a jerk is just a difficult person. So, what are characteristics of a difficult person? And everybody in the audience has their ideas of what difficult is.
Right.
And so they lay it out, and we walk through, and I ask, well, how many of you are difficult people? How many of you have ever told a lie? Raise your hand. And everyone raises their hand.
Yeah.
How many of you have been disrespectful? And hands go up, hands go up, hands go up.
Hmm.
And so I said, so you're telling me you're difficult people, you're a jerk.
Yeah. Yeah. How do they
So
respond to that? How do the
yeah,
high
well, they
schoolers respond
laugh.
to? Yeah.
They laugh. And then I go through, there's a difference between acting like a jerk and being a jerk.
Hmm.
And the difference is your just core attitude and what you want to, what characterizes you and or us. And once they begin to understand that, they start to first, instead of looking at other people and defining how they're a jerk or difficult people, they start being introspective
Oh.
at 13, 14, 15 years old. How am I a jerk?
Hmm.
How do I respond when I'm like this? And so discovery begins to happen. And I have lots of activities that we go through, and it's just to help people home in on what health looks like and what health does not look like.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's super important. You said 13, 14, and 15. Those are very impressionable ages. You're trying to
Yes.
find yourself. You're going through this, boy to man, girl to woman, rite of passage kind of era, and or at least starting that. So, if you were teaching me, what are the top 3 things that we can give our audience on how not to be a jerk? Just briefly.
All right. I've got, if you can remember the word faces.
Faces, okay.
Uh-huh. Uh, Faces and the definitions that go with the word faces are each predictors of how someone will develop in relationship. And so F stands for family background.
Okay.
But for a crisis in our lives, we will become exactly like our families.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So F is family backgrounds. A is attitude and actions of their conscience. Everyone has a conscience, but some people don't respond quickly or well or in a congruent manner with their conscience. So how someone responds to their conscience is a predictor of how someone is going to be in a relationship. C is compatibility potential. What does it take to really get along with each other? And high school students and really college students really want to know what compatibility looks like. And if you think of Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus and things like that, those books all talk about compatibility, which is so important, but it's just one component of what healthy relationships look like. And then you have examples from other relationships. If you want to know how someone is in a relationship, ask the person they just broke up with.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not awkward at all.
or take a look at how they respond to other people.
Yeah.
And if they're respectful to you but disrespectful to others, I would ask, are they respectful or disrespectful as people?
Right.
And if they're disrespectful, you've got to make note of that.
Right. Well, because it might be that front that they are putting on for you, and then later that attitude will come out or that behavior will come out.
Yeah, in crisis, we either show the best of who we are or the worst of who we are.
I see, yeah.
And then S stands for skills of relationships, the ability to forge over time healthy, long-standing relationships.
Wow. Okay. Cool. That's great. So faces. So family background, attitude and action,
of conscience.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Conscience, and then the C one was
compatibility.
Compatibility. I was going to say compassion, compatibility. Then examples of relationships for E, right?
Yep.
And then S was skills of
growing over time.
I was thinking social smarts for some reason because that's an S and that's a thing, but it's kind of similar.
It'll work.
Great. All right. So that's really good. Those are really good tips. So Randy, out of all this, I ask this to every guest, what are you for?
I personally am for healthy, life-giving relationships. I grew up, I haven't let go of many relationships in my 66 years. I really want to develop and grow relationships. And so giving someone the skills to discover that and invest in that has always been, even before I knew it was important to me, it was clearly important to me.
Yeah. Well, why is that important? And let me preface that by saying, if there is a girl who's dating a guy who mistreats her, maybe not physically abuses her, but doesn't treat her like she should be treated, or maybe there's a couple guys in junior high and one of them is always stealing money from his mom to go help them get something at 7-Eleven or whatever. Like, why is it important to have good relationships when sometimes we just let things go with our family or our good friends who we already hang out with, and it's just too hard to get to know a new circle of people?
Yeah. I think that life is all about relationship. And bad relationships suck. They suck the life out of life.
Mm-hmm.
And so we walk through life not knowing how to really grow a healthy relationship. And we assume on other people things that we want, but we're not necessarily willing to do what it is that we want. And so I think that relationship education is vital because relationships are important, and I think our pickers are broken. We don't know how to pick a good relationship. And so we walk through life frustrated, and we either hurt others or are hurt by others. And so our life is somewhat reactive all the time. Gordon, you had mentioned about a young girl who is being abused. That could be emotionally, physically, in any way, verbally, right?
Right.
And what they found is, especially at the age of 13, if a girl is in a relationship and she is being abused,
Mm-hmm.
when she leaves that relationship, her brain has been altered and she will begin to look for abuse from someone that says that they love her.
Wow.
They will look for abuse. And so I just think that that is sad
Yeah.
and painful, and it's setting up a life of hurt. And I've worked with, it's not an overstatement to say that my wife and I have worked with hundreds of young people that are in that situation.
So what happens there with can we just talk about that for a little bit more? What happens with the brain? Is it because, let's say, it's their first love or early love where they feel a little bit more mature maybe than they obviously were when they were in elementary school, and is that what's it's is it basically defining what love is to them at this abuse, and so that's why they are seeking that, or what's happening there?
You're very, very on. So that what they experience, and then they hear the words "I love you," and
Oh, okay.
this is
Mm-hmm.
what they see, this is what they hear. They begin to define abuse as love. And
Mm.
so it's not out of the norm to hear a young abused girl say something like, "If he didn't love me, he wouldn't do that to me. If he didn't love me, he
Mm.
wouldn't hurt me." And it's just a rearranging of terms and words. And then they will go into the next relationship. This is not exclusive to girls,
Yeah, right.
but it's very often girls.
Yeah.
And they will go into the next relationship looking for that abuse. They will gravitate toward abusers.
Mm. Yeah, that's unfortunate. And so how do you help people from that get out of that? How do you what does that look like?
Well, I think just spending, it takes a minimum of about 6 hours. I like about 8 hours for more interaction,
Yeah.
but just walking through the curricula, answering questions. I've got a book that I use that Dr. Vanette put together, where we walk through maybe 60 pages, and I might give one answer on every page, but I want them to look inside and give the other answers on every page. And it becomes a roadmap into health, out of dysfunction into function, if they really give it the time and the effort that it deserves, and that these young people deserves, or any of us for that matter. We deserve to take the time to look deep within ourselves and find out, where am I being a jerk?
Mm.
How am I responding to other people that are difficult to get along with?
Yeah.
And then walk through. So we ask lots of questions. There's a list of 99 questions at the end of that book that are questions designed to get to know the family background of the one that we're interested in, right?
Right.
Or It follows the faces: attitude and actions of conscience, compatibility, examples of other relationships, and skills of relationship. I've got all these questions designed to ferret out what drives the other person. And then we have other things that we look at as well. My goal in working with these, especially with young kids, is I want to ruin the way they watch a movie in the future, because they will see a relationship unfolding very, very fast on film. And
Right.
I want them to grab their hand and say, "Oh no, look at his family. This is not going to be good," or just walk through this. And it's proven to be true. They are predictors.
Yeah, my wife will do that more. We'll be watching a movie, I don't know, a love movie or whatever type of movie, and she'll just be like, "What is going on? This can't
Yeah.
happen in like 2 seconds, and this is not good for them. And this family looks, all the different things that you're talking about." Um, so, okay, well that's good. So going back to Relate for Life as a whole, we really focused on um, your sessions, your workshop of how to not fall for a jerk. Is there any other part of the organization that you want to share about, or because I know that's the big focus, or is that pretty much it? Which it's a lot. Don't get me wrong. I mean, working with 20,000 kids is a lot, but I just wanted to give the floor open to learn more about anything else you're doing.
Well, there's a number of, we do, my wife and I do a lot of premarital coaching. And a lot of people want to use the counselors, premarital counseling. I am not a counselor. If people are doing stupid, I'm going to say, "Hey, that's stupid. Don't do that," and give them something else to do here. But
Yeah.
premarital coaching, just investing with couples, and we like to take 6 to 7 months prior to their being married to
Wow.
spend time and walk through what relational health looks like. We do marriage. My wife and I do marriage weekends. We spend a lot of time with kids. Everybody that we establish relationships with, you can imagine, Relate for Life, we
Yeah.
have a relationship with for life. So we are in pretty regular contact. I've done just last month 50 weddings, 50 premarital, probably 75 or 80 premarital coaching sessions, but 50 weddings. We are still in
Wait,
contact
did
with
you
those
say
couples.
last month or last year?
No, last month we hit our 50th
Oh, you hit our
wedding.
50th. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought you said we did 50 weddings last month, and I was like, well,
yeah,
that's a busy month.
yeah. No, you know what? I don't really want to do a whole lot of weddings,
Hmm.
because most couples that get married, even though they don't go in saying we're going to get a divorce, they do not go in saying we're going to invest and do our best to build this relationship,
Yeah,
because it takes time and it takes work.
it does. It does. And a lot of open dialogue and conversation
That's
about how to
right.
do that. No, that's great. Wow. It sounds like you've got some really great stuff. And I understand that you're trying in this particular time, you're going to be relaunching Relate for Life. And
Yes.
I can't wait to hear more about that. Maybe we'll get you on the show a year later or something just to see how you are
Great.
progressing in that. So one question before we wrap up: what do you think we can do to help our city? How can we impact our city through your eyes and the ministry that you're doing? Because obviously, there's no place that's perfect, and there's a lot of people here in Fresno, but there's also a lot of, I mean, like you said, there's divorce among families. Kids are being ripped apart from their families. There's also the political side of things. People are being divided, based on race or religion or just a variety of things. So, what can we do to help our city?
Well, simply put, I would say assume the dignity of other people. Don't throw pejoratives about. Don't be known for judging other people. Just assume the dignity. We can be kind and patient and understanding, and we want that from other people, but for some reason we don't want to give that to other people. We
Hmm.
want people to be patient with us, but we're not going to be patient with them,
Yeah.
right? So I would say, number one, just stink and do what you know the right thing is to do.
Yeah.
what I would say is, as far as what can we do to help our city? Okay. Divorce gives marriage a bad name.
Hmm.
It's divorce that does that. And if you back that up, um, we will unfriend somebody that says something that we don't like. That's just called divorce light. We're just
Mhm.
training ourselves how to separate ourselves from other people.
Yeah.
How about if we just lean in and without being offended and without intending to offend others, if we just learn to talk to each other and accept people with different views than we have and find out what we have in common. And like for Fresno, what can we work for?
Yeah.
What do we, why is it important that we pull together in this? I think that is going to help. And it's, I don't want to say everybody's been taught this, because there are households that really just learn how to fight.
Yeah. Right.
But
Survival.
there are other households where we really want the best in our community, and we want to serve and give other people. So rather than look at every relationship of what can you give me, what if we looked at every relationship, and I mean everybody that crosses our path, what can we do for them?
Hmm.
And that's just a different way of walking through life. And it's been helpful. And I mean, obviously, I mean, my wife and I are Christians. We've been married 45 years. And so I want to serve our community, serve individuals that are just overlooked. And I want to serve God. And
Hmm.
so, what's it look like when all of that comes together? Well, it looks like thriving relationships that can grow, where we are diverse but unified. And there's a lot of relationships that, you know, when you think about it, untied and united are the same letters.
Yeah.
Okay, just in different order. And if you take two cats and tie them together by the tail and hang them over a clothesline, there's going to be a battle. They're united, but there is no unity. Okay, so if we can learn
Yeah.
to hang together with people that are different and respect each other, assume the dignity of each other, we can find unity and not have those battles that we tend to thrive on, I guess.
Yeah. I'm not going to get that image out of my head for a while. Just two cats tied together. It seems so inhumane, but I get what you're saying, and you're absolutely right. Uh, Thinking about others, thinking about the dignity of others. I mean, yeah, this world is set up for us too much to be live in fear and to be selfish. And how do we survive where we're not made for that? We're made to thrive with relationships, and it's just so important. And it's scary, especially when you just said that earlier about training yourself to divorce light, to unfriend people, to say, you know what, this world is so connected. I don't really need that person to be my friend because I've got connections all over here. And whether they're jerks or not, it doesn't matter. I can just feel like I'm connected to a group. And I just think that's a really good thought to think about. um, and
Thank you.
and hopefully some of the listeners out there can think about that. I it's been said that you are, what is it, you make up the the five people you spend the most time with, your accumulation of them or something similar to that. And thinking about who you spend the most time with, and digging deep, like, are you a jerk to them, are they jerks to you, and how can you be better, and do things need to change, not to get rid of them as a friend, but maybe, you know bad company corrupts good character, and you don't want to surround yourself with bad company. So yeah, those are some really, really great things to think about, Randy, and I hope some of
Very
our
true.
audience takes this seriously. So we want to help relate for life. You're starting again. You're going to do a jump start here, and how can we help you? How can we help relate for life?
You know what I would love to do, where I think the highest return is to invite me to meet with pastors or the head of an organization and let them ferret out and look for whatever in me to see if we're a fit. Okay. And the message is a fit. Am I and my wife, are we living congruent to this message? If we are, I would say invite us in, if it's a church, to your high school or college group. If it's a college, to your fraternity. And give my wife and I an opportunity to give a perspective of health that will allow you, any attending, I promise they're going to learn several things, even if they barely listen, they're going to learn several things that will change their life and their outlook forever. Number two, if you're praying people, pray for this, because life is all about relationship. First between us and God, and then between us and everybody else. Right. So, and we've all experienced what bad relationships do. They tear us apart, and they make us jaded. And probably in being jaded, if we want to be honest, we have as much to do change-wise as we wish someone else would change in a relationship. So let's just get our own act in order, right? So that is the way that this would be a tremendous help to Relate for Life.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I know we've all been jerks, and I don't even know what to say about that other than, yes, we've all been jerks. And so we got to get our own stuff together.
Right.
Well, Randy, is there anything else you want to say to our audience? I'll give you 60 seconds. I know we've covered a lot. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you. You can get a hold of me by email, randy@relateforlife.org, all spelled out. You can call me on my cell phone, 559-259-1697. If I don't answer your call, guess what? I'm talking with someone else. I will respect my conversation with them, but I'll get back to you. Our website is relateforlife.org. And that's a work in process. You can help if you know how to really put together cool websites. Somebody help the boy. I could use your help. And I think parting words is, life is not easy. Neither is it as difficult as we tend to make it. We can learn to follow our heart without losing our minds.
Say that again.
We can learn to follow our heart without losing our minds, without going out of our mind.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. I never heard it like that before. That's encouraging. I like it. We can follow our heart without losing our minds. Yeah, love it. Well, Randy, you and your wife, Angie, have done some incredible work. I'm so glad you're able to come on the show and just share a little bit about Relate for Life. And I hope some people reach out to you. I hope you have a great jumpstart here. And I can't wait to get you back and hear how it's going.
Appreciate it. I love the fact, Gordon, that you are for Fresno. Fresno is where I messed my life up. It's where I found Christ. It is where I serve. And we love this community, and we look forward to working with you.
Great. Well, thank you again, Randy.
Thank you.
Well, that was an awesome conversation. Again, thinking about how we treat others today affects our relationships in the future, and that's huge. I especially like the example of the divorce light. I hope this is an encouragement for people to do the hard work when growing yourself and building healthy relationships. I want to thank Randy for being on the show. And if you were moved by what Randy spoke about and want to help Relate for Life make a greater impact, you can email him at randy@relateforlife.org. That's randy@relateforlife.org. Again, he would love to partner with churches and communities to teach healthy relationship building. In addition, as Relate for Life relaunches, they need some help with their website. So if you want to reach out for that as well, they would love to contact you. As always, if you want to thank our guests, you can send them a digital thank you. You can go to our website at forfresno.com, click on this episode, and let them know how much you appreciate them. I want to thank all our listeners for watching and listening to these podcasts. Please subscribe, like, rate, and review, and all the things you can do to help us get the word out. We truly appreciate it. Next week, we're going to have a humbling conversation with Bill Cochran. He is beginning a ministry called Fresno Veterans Restart. He'll be sharing a little bit of a story as well as the ministry. You don't want to miss it. And remember, you matter, your impact matters, because you are the church, and we're here to serve our city.